All right, we are going to be talking about child investing tonight. This is a big topic. I think it's not talked about enough, and I really want to deep dive into it. As some of you guys know, I have a new course coming out October 12th called Money University, and this is going to be for children specifically. So it's child money. If you guys have kids from about 12 to 25 years old, this course is right up their alley. And I'm going to show you guys how to, hold on, let me hit share screen so I can start showing my slideshow, play from start. Okay. So if you guys text this number right here, text money to 833-616-0992, you guys will get the latest updates, exclusive deals, and more information for Money University. Our pre-sale is going to begin October 5th, and it's going to end October 12th when we release the course. But Female in Finance and me, if you guys know her, Leandra on Instagram as well, are teaming up to do this. We have put 3 to 4 months of work into this, and we're getting to the finish line. The course is going to be 4-ish hours of video course content, as well as it's going to have a physical Money University workbook that your child is going to be able to use through to like take notes and follow along with our presentation, as well as have as a resource forever. So text money to this number if you guys have kids in that age range and you're wanting to get the latest updates and deals and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so investing for kids, there's a lot to talk about, but let's pinpoint like kind of where we're going to talk about tonight. The four main accounts we're going to talk about. So there is 529, there's 5 in total. 529, Coverdell ESA, the brokerage account in the parent name. And we're going to be also talking about the UPMA and the UGMA in the Roth IRA. So those are the 5 accounts we're talking about tonight. But let's start with the 529 and ESA. So when you're talking about children, there are different types of accounts, like we just mentioned, but everyone's going to have its own purpose. The 529 and the ESA is specifically for education, specifically for college or K through 12 even. So the 529 is what we are personally saving for our daughter for college. And a lot of people have questions on this because they are like, well, what if my kid doesn't go to college? What if my kid gets a scholarship? There's a lot of questions behind that. But the 529 is an excellent tool and it is tax advantage. So it's an awesome tool to use if you have kids going to college. I often say do not over invest into this account because there are penalties like you see at the bottom left if you withdraw early or for non-educational expenses. So both of these accounts, there are some similarities and differences. So the biggest difference I would say between these two accounts are the contribution limits. And the contribution limits for the ESA is only $2,000 per year. That's very, very limited. And it's not to say that you have to always invest more than 2,000, but a cap of 2,000 a year is extremely limited. You can't really do much with it because that's over 18 years. That's only 36,000 that you can put in yourself. Whereas the 529 really has no contribution limit. I think there might be one, but it's like literally $400,000, something crazy. So you'll be fine there. So I personally would do a 529 if I was doing an education account, but they're both used for education. They're both tax advantage, meaning the money that you put in is going to grow tax-free if it's pulled for specifically a college expense with typically room and board or tuition or books, possibly meal plans as well. They also could be transferred to siblings or even grandchildren. So if you have one 529, for example, my daughter, she was born 2 weeks ago and we have a 529 in her name. So that account is technically her social security number. But if we have another kid, let's say 5 years from now, and we want to switch that social security to him or her, we can do so. So that money can be used for both kids. I would typically just go ahead and open a separate one because if they're close in age, it's going to be complicated moving around each one. And plus, just to have each account earmarked for a specific kid would be, I always think, is smarter. And then the ESA, like I said, is fairly the same thing, but at the same time, it's only limited to 2,000. On top of that, Once the beneficiary turns 18 with the ESA, you can't do more contributions. The 529 no rule exists. So if your kid is in college and you're like, I'm going to save money up because I'm going to, let's say, just invest more throughout college, and instead of pulling it each and every year to pay for it, you can technically consistently contribute, which is always very beneficial. Or you could even pull it, but then also consistently contribute as well. So there's more options with that 529. If your kid does get a scholarship or doesn't go to school, obviously the transfer to siblings, that's a piece. But if your kid doesn't go to gets a scholarship, you can withdraw that money without that penalty attached to it. So the other accounts are UPMAs and UPMAs. This is for parents that want to save for their kids, but they do not want to save for college because they're like, hey, I don't know what college is in the cards. I just want to save for my kid. And the similarities and difference between the UPMA and UGMA, the Uniform Gift to Minors Act or Uniform Transfers to Minors Act. The main difference is the UGMA is just security, so stocks, bonds, and stuff like that. The UPMA could be real estate, fine art, patents, and royalties on top of that. So you just have a little more flexibility. I technically opened an UGMA this morning for my daughter. I opened just a regular bank account, and it was considered an UGMA. So anything that goes into that account technically is hers at the age of 18, which becomes a question for a lot of parents. It is custodial account in the name of the minor. The account becomes the minor's at age 18. So you're a custodian up until 18. At 18, it becomes theirs. And that becomes a question. A lot of parents are like, I don't know if I feel comfortable with that, which I'll get into the next option in a second. But some people are a little weary about that, me being included. And then there's a $15,000 per year contribution limit. That was 2020. I don't know what 2021 is, but I'm sure it's slightly above that. In 2022, of course, with the new tax bill Biden's coming out with, could be slightly different, but it's probably around the lines of that. So the biggest question is 529 versus UGMA and UPMA. And I always say there's not really a right or wrong, and you could do a hybrid approach, which is what we're doing. So we're not doing the UPMA and UGMA, and I'll talk about the other hybrid approach that we're doing in a second. But at the same time, if you want to save for college and you also want to save for a down payment on a house or a car at 18 years old, you can do a hybrid approach. It doesn't have to be one or the other. You guys can do whatever you feel comfortable in doing. So the other account here tonight is the Roth IRA. So the Roth IRA is a big piece of this. The Roth IRA is only for earned income, unfortunately. So you can't just invest into a Roth IRA. You have to get creative, but your kid has to have a earned income. So if they're 2 years old and you pay them for driving a car, the IRS might look at you funny, like, oh, well, that 2-year-old can't drive a car, so you can't be paying him for driving your car for your business or something like that. This is what we're doing for my daughter. So we just opened a Roth IRA today, literally for her, and she's 2 weeks old. So people are like, well, how does she have earned income? She is technically going to be a model for my merchandise that I sell through BudgetDog and on my BudgetDog page. So she'll be taking pictures. Obviously, she doesn't know what the hell is going on, but it's counted as earned income, and I can pay her legally by IRS standards as long as it's reasonable wages, which we pay her $50 an hour, which is reasonable for baby modeling. So just look at the whatever industry you're in, look at like reasonable wages for that, whatever they're doing currently. Really, if you have a kid under like 7, it's going to be pretty hard to find legitimately earned income. But if you have a business to your name, it's a lot easier. And that's what we're doing personally. So like maybe when she's like 5 or 6, she'll start helping me, I don't know, set up for my YouTube videos or do some paperwork type stuff like that. So you have to get creative, but make sure it's legal and something the IRS wouldn't shake their head at. So the other account, guys, is the taxable brokerage account. This is what we're doing. So this is actually a really, really smart way to do it. And the difference between the UPMA, instead of the UPMA, which we were going to do originally, we decided to do the taxable brokerage account in our name. So the difference is the control aspect of it. So we have in our name, my wife and I have a joint brokerage account, just like our regular brokerage account, but it's earmarked for her. So at the age of 18, we can begin to start gifting her money up to $30,000 without any gift tax with the current tax law, because we're married filing jointly. If you're a single parent you can gift them 15,000 per year. So married filing jointly is just 15,000 times two. But the brokerage account is through your name. So if at 18 years old, your kid's a little shithead and you're like, I don't really want to give him or her that money. It happened to my uncle. And I think a lot of other parents have that fear, is like, hey, no matter how good my parenting is, who knows what this kid does? Well, he has an UPMA for his daughter, and his daughter automatically gets that money at 18, no matter what she does or what she says to him. He has zero control over it. Besides, he can stop contributing, but it's still growing at the same time. So I think personally, the brokerage account makes a lot more sense than the UPMA. That's just my personal preference. And I think the 529 as well. I think a lot of these accounts make sense, but everyone's going to have a different situation and different needs for their kids. So all of these options are available. The brokerage account tax implications, I want you guys to realize that what's basically how these are made up is the capital appreciation, dividends, and interest are all kind of taxed differently. So if, let's say you buy Apple and there's just some increase in the value of the asset, right? You have short-term and long-term capital gains on this. So the capital gains held less than a year are taxed at the ordinary income tax rate. If you're trading or swing trading or day trading or something like that, that's going to come into play. If you have it long-term buy and hold, you just buy Apple and you hold it for 18 years, it's going to be taxed at the capital gains rate, typically 15%. Your dividends are different. Your dividends, the qualified dividends, are taxed at capital gains rate of 0 to 20%, typically 15. But if they're unqualified, they're going to be taxed at the ordinary income tax rate. The interest portion, let's say from bonds, the fixed income payments that you're receiving, is going to be always taxed at the ordinary income tax rate. Think like a savings account when you get like interest earned on your savings account. The three brokerage institutions I think are probably the best to work with when it comes to any of these accounts or investing would be Vanguard, Charles Schwab, or Fidelity. I talk about this often. The main reasons are low fees, investment options, user-friendly platforms, and the customer service is bar none. I use Vanguard personally, and I've been on the phone a lot with them. Customer service is top notch with them. So let me open up my Instagram real fast. I want to show you guys quickly a post I did on literally this topic when I talk about my investing for my daughter. So let's see where it's at real fast. Okay, here it is. So this is kind of before she was actually here. So like I said, we are going to do a little bit of a hybrid approach. We're going to do a 529. We are going to do a parent taxable brokerage, which is this brokerage account, and we're doing a Roth IRA. And I walk through each one of these things. So you guys can look at this post if you guys want to see some more information on it, but it's a really long, nice thread. I talk about exactly the percentage we're going to fund for a 529, which I think is really important. So I'm going to show you also a tool that you guys can all use. And I'm going to throw it out in the chat in a second, but let me get to it first. I use this all the time. So this is Vanguard's college cost calculator. So if I copy and paste this, I'm going to put this in the chat for you guys. So you guys can use this feature if you want, but basically this is a way to plan out for your college. So we personally, like I say here in this tweet, is saying we are funding with a 529 specifically only 62% of a 4-year in-state public school. We do not think that we don't want to fund 100% of 529 because chances are she gets somewhat of a scholarship or grant to an extent. And we don't want to overfund, or what if she doesn't go to college and we had to pull that 62% or gift it or something like that? We don't want to have $200,000 locked away in a 529. So we're going to do 62% of a 4-year in-state public school. We're basically going to say, hey, if you want to go to college, go to a 4-year in-state public school. That's the most reasonable way to go. And that's what we're trying to do. Also, she could possibly work during college, which we expect her to. There's no handouts here. So working during college is probably going to be a big thing. She could get scholarship. We expect her to get good grades and, work her ass off. And also, if those things don't come to play and there's still some extra money that she can't fully fund her college, she has that brokerage account building in the background that she could pull from, or when we technically gift her, she could use that money to pay off her remaining college debt or college cost. So the biggest thing with the brokerage versus the UPMA. So if you guys have been following me for a while, my original take was we were going to do an UPMA. And then it started playing on me that, hey, this whole control thing is a big issue for me. Like, I don't know if I want to be able to gift my daughter $120,000 at the age of 18 and her be into drugs or, doing something I'm not supportive of. And she has $120,000 to go fund her heroin thing. Obviously that's the worst case scenario, but the goal here is to have the control so that she doesn't have that money unless I give it to her. And so she'll have stipulations. Hey, you got to do X, Y, and Z. You got to have these grades. At this point, we can then gift her that money. So the biggest thing with the UTMA was the math, and that really surprised me. So what we did on Money Twitter, if you guys follow us there, we did a calculation of the brokerage versus the UTMA. So the UTMA for the longest time was more beneficial because the tax benefit behind it. Well, we did a simulation and we came out to figure out the taxable brokerage from a math side actually made more sense than the UTMA. So that coupled with the control, it was a no-brainer. So that's why we switched recently to that. And then, like I said, the Roth IRA would be the last piece, and that's just for anything that she earns from baby model. Like I hate to say here, she's going to be a BudgetDog baby model. So her earned income to date, if you guys want this number, is $150. So she's worked 3 hours actually. We actually have more pictures with a professional photographer coming up. So it's like 3 hours additionally. So she'll earn in her first 3 to 4 weeks of birth, $300. I'm going to take that $300 and I'm going to put that in a Roth IRA. So that over the course of 65 years, because the IRA is really for retirement, will be absolutely crazy. I'm going to actually do that calculation for you guys so you can see it laid out. So if I just go to this first investor.gov and I figure, initial investment is $0, and then there is no, initial investment is going to be $300. Let's just say she has $300, 0 monthly contribution, and she has that for 65 years, which is absolutely insane at 8%. Her account balance is $44,000 at 65. Obviously, inflation will play into that and all that kind of stuff. But the key is that's only $300 now, and that's going to be $44,000 in 65 years. Seems like a long way away, but it kind of sets them up for retirement. Obviously, we're going to put more than 300, but we can put up to $6,000 in there, and that's what we kind of plan to do if she technically works that much. Okay, so let me get off my Instagram. I feel like I covered all that. The college cost calculator, guys, this is really easy to use. I put it in the chat feature for you guys, but essentially you're walking through these on the left-hand side, these criteria. How old your child? You can name your child if you want. Current age 1, 18, starting to college, 4 years attending college. Here you can kind of select your either what state you're going to, the actual school that you're going to, or you could do down here like public 2-year school. Like we said, public 4-year school in states are a requirement. So we would click that button. We would leave planned contribution to just the default $100 at first. The current savings balance technically at this point for us is 3, let's just say it's zero for now. And then the expected average rate of return, some people say 6. I would probably put 8 personally. And then percent you plan to cover, let's say you say 62 like I had, or 60 or something like that. And then the rate of college increase each and every year, 5%. This is all updating as you saw as I was updating these factors over here. And this gives you your output. So this is going to say the total cost of college for your public and school state in 18 years will be $220,000. That's sickening, but that's the truth. The amount we plan to cover is 60% of that, which is based on this, and that's $130,000. And then based on our current savings, which is $100 we have put in here, we're only going to cover 37% of the 131. So we're going to be way short, but it tells you right below this to reach the full amount you plan to cover, save an additional 144. So if I do 100 plus 144 is 244. Now it updates over here to say 100%. And I'm basically mapped that goal out. So what we did personally was we put $250 into this per month, and then $250 into a brokerage. And then whatever she earns through the business goes into a Roth IRA. So $500 a month. Do not feel as if you should sacrifice anything like retirement for your children. I think a lot of parents feel selfish by doing this, but make sure your retirement needs and your investing goals are met before your children's, because if not, the circle of life comes and you're going to be 90 years old in a diaper and not be able to afford half the stuff that you plan for in retirement. And your kid is going to be the one forking that money out to pay for you. So make sure that you take care of yourself first. It's not a selfish move. It's actually an unselfish move, because you don't want your kids paying for you in the long run. So don't feel as if you can't meet this $250 or $100. Just put $50 or $10 a month. It doesn't matter. Whatever fits your budget is totally fine. That is pretty much all, guys. Again, make sure if you guys are interested in Money University, this course is legit. Like, this course is, if you guys take my Budget to Financial Freedom course, this course is probably 10x that. And it's for your kids, and it's for age 12 to 25. Just text this number, and it's not like you buy anything or just by texting that number. You're just gonna get the latest updates, any deals that we push out early, and some more information that other people aren't gonna know. So feel free to put or text that number. I'm going to check the chat box real fast. It doesn't look like any questions came through. So you guys feel free to answer, or either put questions in the chat box or call out, raise your hand or whatever. I don't really care. And I'll answer whatever. I know one of you 43 got a question. I know that for a fact. You can probably hear my daughter crying in the back. So Vanguard yeah, Matt, you can text or call it out, man, whatever you want. I would use Vanguard, Antonio. What brokerage did I use for step one? Vanguard, Brittany. I like Vanguard a lot. That's just everything I have is through Vanguard. Vanguard, Fidelity, and Charles Schwab. None of these three are bad by any means. I highly recommend one of these three when it comes to investing. I have others like TD Ameritrade and E-Trade, but I would stick to these three right here, because these are long-term investing platforms. They're not it's not going to be a trading platform or anything like that. It's really long-term investments, and that's what this child investing is for. So I would stick with these big guys. Note that Vanguard's going to have a $3,000 minimum down payment for any index funds that you get into, but you can use an ETF to start, which is just the cost of the ETF. So you can get around that pretty easily. Charles Schwab and Fidelity do not have that. Let me go through these questions. Okay, so yes, Vanguard for the UPMA brokerage. I use Vanguard, but again, these three. What is your opinion on whole life insurance? For your child, I would not do that. I think whole life insurance gets a really bad rap because it's really meant for like 1% of people trying to preserve wealth and save basically a different way, and some tax strategy planning behind it. But for the average person, I know for me and probably anyone I'm talking to on the phone today, does not make sense to do whole life insurance. It just doesn't. It's 10 times more expensive, and there are better alternatives out there, just like a brokerage account or 529 or something like that. That's absolutely critical though. Long-term seems best. Yeah, for sure. Does Vanguard do a credit check? Not to my so my 401k was through Vanguard 7 years ago when I started my first job. And I don't think I did a credit check. I don't know why you would. So I think you won't have that. I'm pretty sure. I do have my 401k with Vanguard. So should I open another account for my baby? Yeah, Kushal, I think that the 401k is for you, right? So 401k, guys, is for retirement. If you want to open for your kids and invest for your kids, that's what all these accounts are for here. Laid out nicely, it would be 529, maybe an UPMA, maybe a Roth IRA, or maybe a brokerage account. I'll show you guys exactly how you do this. So for example, if you go to vanguard.com and hit personal investors over here, and then you just hit this investing dropdown and you'll see all the account types. And this is where you would select them. So 529 would be here. Individual and joint account would cover your brokerage account or your UPMA or UGMA. And then your Roth IRA would be right here. I just called Vanguard today when I opened the Roth IRA. and just opened it over the phone, and they did it for me, which is very easy as well. Like I said, customer service is bar none. So feel free to call Vanguard or Fidelity or Charles Schwab if you have questions on that and how to open, but you really just hit this investing drop down and go here and select one of these. 3 versus 6. Antonio, I don't know what that's in reference to. Can you comment below? Have you heard of Busy Kid app for investing? I have heard of that. I don't know what it is though. I know Mark Better Wallet, one of my buddies on Instagram, does. I think he affiliates for them. I'm pretty sure I've heard of that. Let me see if Mark does. I'm pretty sure Mark does. So if you guys follow Better Wallet, him and I talk all the time, but I think he's in his link. He has something about Busy Kid. I might be wrong, but Scholar Raise, capitalize. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. I thought he did. Chore apps for kids to earn money. Interesting. So that's what it sounded like. So I'm assuming that you can somehow. So chores, guys, do not qualify. And this is I've called Vanguard about this, and I've also Googled it, and I've gotten 2 different answers. When it comes to earned income, to my understanding and to Vanguard's understanding on the phone, W-2 and 1099 earned income. So cutting the grass or whatever, you have to file taxes on it. Chore income, I do not think qualifies. I called them and they said it doesn't, but when I Googled it, I got a different answer. So I'm still kind of skeptical myself on that. But that's something good. I need to figure that out, and I'll get back to you guys on that once I figure that out. So you basically plan to have 3 accounts for your children: brokerage, college fund, which is 529, Roth IRA for their retirement. Correct. Yes, Brittany, that's what we're doing. That's subject to change, but I'm pretty confident with that. I did a lot of thinking behind it, and I think it makes sense. Like college, we kind of fully funded for the most part. Their retirement will get started, obviously not fully funded, and then the brokerage account will help them with like a house or a down payment or something like that. But again, it's my money. That brokerage is my money, unless if they deserve it and they do everything into my I guess let's say per se contract, then I will gift it to them, but not unless they do that. Just wanted to verify, you said with the brokerage, the kids would get access by 18, or you can pick a different age. The brokerage, so I was talking about the UTMA when I said that. So at the UTMA or UGMA guys at 18 years old, it's the kid's account no matter what. So it's a custodian account. So you're controlling it, but it's in the kid's name for 18 years. So like today I opened a bank account just to transfer money in, basically to fund a Roth IRA. So if you guys follow me on Twitter, you saw me talk about all the steps I had to go through to fund our IRA. The bank account's considered an UGMA because we are essentially, there's securities in it, right? There's cash, and we are funding it in her name. So at 18 years old, whatever money's in that bank account, which will be zero because we're not going to save in a bank account, we're just using it to transfer money from the business to her Roth IRA. She would be owed that money. So that's a legal requirement. The brokerage account, beginning at age 18, you can start to gift them money, but you don't have to. What is the best option for older kids, meaning 5 kids between 14 and 18, no investments for them? 14 and 8. Depends. I think it comes back to your goals, guys. I think if you guys are trying to save for school, I would say a 529. If you're trying to save for general, I would probably say a taxable brokerage account. And if you're trying to save for their retirement because they have 14 to 18, they can actually legitimately have jobs, I would say try to fund their IRA with income that they actually earn. But again, I think it has to do with your goals. First, set out your goals, and then you can find the accounts that fit your goals. I believe he stated you could set it for 18. Yes, 18 years old. Also, guys, a note on that. Some states, depending on your state, might be 21 for the UGMA or the UTMA. So just check on that for your state. But typically, what's up, Shay? Shay's in here, guys. She's one of my clients. Are you able to transfer? Hey, Shay, we're meeting next Saturday. Remember that. Are you able to transfer to one of those 3 companies you mentioned if you already have a 529 with somebody else, or is it necessary depending on the company? Okay, quick disclaimer on this. I messed up on this. Didn't mess up, but I need to clarify. On the 529 specifically, guys, these are through your state. Okay, so let me clarify what I meant with the 529. I am using the 529 through Vanguard because I live in Northern Kentucky, so I say Cincinnati, so you guys might think Ohio, but I live in Kentucky. Kentucky does not have a state deduction for a 529, but a lot of states do. Every state, there's only 7 states that don't have that deduction, that state deduction. Kentucky happens to be one of those, so I kind of get screwed with the deduction. So I can pick whatever state. Vanguard is in Nevada, the state of Nevada. So it just depends. If you're in New York or Ohio, those are really good 529 plans. Try to stick with, so when you check out your 529 plan, for example, if I go to let's just go to Montana 529 plan. I bet no one lives there. I've never met somebody that lives there. So if I go to Montana might be, does Montana have 529, but with Achieve? Yeah, so they have Achieve Montana. Okay. So here's Achieve this is their 529 plan. So this is by state. So if I'm looking at their investment options, obviously the first thing I'm worried about, does my state have a state tax deduction? The second thing I'm worried about is what kind of investments they have. Some investments are really crappy, really crappy. So it looks like here you can select multiple investment options. The year of enrollment portfolios, these are target date funds, I assume. So the year of enrollment, 20 years from now, you would have a fund called 2020 or 2040, or asset allocation portfolios and individual portfolios. So if I select individual portfolios, I can just go into Montana's and see what they have to offer. And it looks like they have not a lot. Let me see. Detailed performance of the. And obviously I've never looked at Montana's in my life, so I'm just kind of winging this here, but it looks like they have just a equity index, which is the US equity. It looks like the US stock market, as well as the bond index, and then the capital preservation portfolio, which is basically all cash. And you can probably find a way to put allocations, let's say 70, 20, and 10 or something you want to do. And you can set those allocations, it looks like. But the problem is it doesn't look like there's many options, but let me see. Obviously I haven't looked at Montana's, but the first thing you got to check and make sure that they have, here's the fact sheet. So this is breaking down the equity index for Montana. So like I said, this is the total US stock market index fund. So that's what this is. And so they have what I need, but one thing I would also check on top of this is are the fees with this. So see if there's any additional fees. But it looks like they use Vanguard options, fixed income from Vanguard, and capital preservation option from New York Life. So I would check what your options are and if there are any fees. If your state has a state tax deduction, your investment options are solid and your fees are low, I would highly recommend sticking with your state. But if you're one of those 7 states like Kentucky, I would look into whichever state has the best plan or your favorite broker. So that's the answer to that question, Shay. And then for the other types of accounts, guys, I would just use these 3 brokers, but just for the 529 specifically, I would be careful. So are you able to transfer to one of those? So you should be able to transfer those assets to another company if you have one with Merrill Lynch. Yes. $3K for Vanguard versus the typical $6K requirement. Oh, Antonio, gotcha. So the $3,000 minimum for Vanguard, guys, is the buy-in. So if I want to go buy VT Sachs or something like that, so if I go to vanguard.com, actually it's right here. So if I go to vanguard.com and look at their mutual fund options, and I go down to look at each one, so there's 129 here. If I want to go buy, let's say my bread and butter right here, VT Sachs, there is a $3,000 minimum. So obviously this is within the account, but the minimum investment here is $3,000. However, like I said, the available is as an ETF starting at the price of 1 share. So like I said, if you guys don't have that 3,000, but you want to start, just buy the ETF version, which is VTI. So if I click on this, it's going to take me to VTI right here. And that share price currently is, let's see, Did I skip it? Sorry, yeah, right here, 225. So you would buy one share of VTI for 225, and that's a way you could do it. The 6,000 you're referring to, Antonio, is the total contribution for the whole year. So once you guys invest into one of these funds and you put, let's say, $3,000 in, you can buy it fractionally. So you don't have to buy 3,000 every single time, just one time. The 6,000 is for the IRA. That's the limit for the 2021 contribution limit. And that's as much as you can go. So that's what he's referring to by the 6,000. Is there a minimum deposit for opening? Just at 3,000. Fidelity wouldn't have one. Other accounts wouldn't have one. I opened mine with Vanguard, and they didn't have a specific fund. They just said you had to put in $3,000. No matter if you did it like by 2 funds or 3 funds. I chose 2 funds, and I just broke it up between the 3,000. Did you say there's the minimum of 3,000 to open the brokerage account with Vanguard? Yes. So all those minimums, guys, apply to all Vanguard funds, all Vanguard accounts of everything. What's the best option? Oh, I answered that one. Trying to save for school. Bish, yes, it would be. I feel like I'm like Kendrick Lamar right now, saying that. But trying to save for school, I would use a 529. Okay, Shay, sweet. You better be there. California has scholar share. Okay, let's check out California's California scholar share. Yeah, everyone's 529 is gonna be different. So yeah, here's scholar share 529. Looks like it's low fees. I would double check that, but that's what it says. Let's go into this and check it out. And again, I haven't looked through any of these, so I'm just trying to kind of find it on the. Here's fees and expenses. There are no application fees, no cancellation fees, no change in beneficiaries, only program management and underlying mutual fund fees, meaning the expense ratio. So be careful with those. And you can check in there. Let me see their investment options, because I'm sure a lot of you guys are from California. I feel like everyone's from California. Investment portfolios. Here are the options I think you can have. So yeah, here's the enrollment year investment portfolios. Those are target date ones, so like in 18. Basically, if your kid's going to turn 18 and they're 8, that's 10 years from now. So 2031 or a 2030 fund, they typically do them on basis of every 5 years. You would just do whatever's closest. Guaranteed portfolio options, preserve capital, and very stable way of doing things. They have multi-fund investment portfolios, and they have single fund investment portfolios. So let's see if they have. Yep. So they have a few here. They have social ones, which are like ESG funds. It looks like you can look at the list there. Index bond funds, which are right here, and then index large US. That's probably what I would stick in, US equity. And you can hit. It looks like they have this one right here, TIEIX. Let's see what that is. TIEIX. Yeah, this is a pretty low expense ratio, 0.05 right here. That's pretty solid. So let's see. Fund analysis. Oh, everything's locked. Yeah, everything's locked for me because I don't have Morningstar. That's all right. So yes, that would be the asset allocation for that one. Let's see what they have for here. I'm sure it's like the US stock fund. Yeah, this is the S&P 500 right here. That's easy enough. So you can see obviously with your state what you're going to have. This is just a regular bond index fund, and this is probably just an ESG, like social choice equity fund. Yep. And then they probably have, let's see what their, if I go back and see multi-fund investment portfolios, I can see that. So they'll have like here they have like kind of like a allocation, like they just had active and passive. You can choose between that. Let's say passive growth right here. So this is the breakout of their group funds, which you can also do as well. But yes, guys, every 529, like I said, has that. Okay. Are those all the questions? I think I got through everything. If I missed a question, just let me know. Pretty sure I got everything though. And was that helpful to you guys? Does that make sense? Any other follow-ups or concerns or comments? Yeah, guys. Investing for your child should not be complicated. Again, if you go through this presentation, you can figure out probably the 5 options. Just to recap, 529 or ESA for college or education, the UTMA or UGMA, and or the taxable brokerage for like anything other investing type stuff, and then the Roth IRA if they have earned income. Those are the 5 primary options. If you stick between those 5, depending on your goals, you'll be totally fine. What channels can we find me in? I am primarily in the stock chat sometimes, unless it gets into the trading. I'm definitely not a trader, so I kind of stay out of that conversation. Any stock chats, any dividend chats, index funds is my main one. The business chat you'll see me in, the credit chats you'll see me in from time to time, personal finance, tax chat you'll see me in a ton. But I'm really in everything. If you crypto a little bit here and there. I'm looking right now through the Discord. Yeah, those are primarily the ones I'm in. Checking personal finance. Yep. Yep, those are the ones I'm in, guys. You guys can find me there. You can definitely find me anywhere on Instagram, Twitter at the name of BudgetDog. You'll find me there. And then I'm obviously throughout the Discord. But again, if you guys are looking for Money University for your kids, 12 to 25 years old, October 5th is going to be the pre-order open. October 12th is the course launch. This course is going to be freaking amazing. Just text this money to 833-616-0992. And you guys will get updated with everything. But we have a lot coming for you guys. Like I said, female in finance, if you have seen her on Instagram, that's who I'm partnering up with this course. So we have her and I kind of split duties, and we go off and on. She has a huge account and following. So here's that text money thing right here. So she already has it in her bio and everything. But it looks like everybody else has all their questions answered. Appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Hit me up if you guys have questions in the Discord, or you can DM me on Twitter or Instagram or whatever. If you guys have any follow-ups, I'll take care of you guys. So thank you guys. Appreciate all your time and all the support you guys give me.